In this lecture, let's understand about the pending interrupt behavior. Okay, so let's begin. So in the first case, we'll explore what happens when there is a single interrupt request in the system, and in the second case, we'll discuss how the system behaves when there are two interrupt requests. Okay. Assume that the processor is operating in the thread mode and the interrupt is asserted from the peripheral. Let's say it's a low to high transition. When the interrupt is asserted, the pending bit will be set corresponding to the IRQ number of the interrupt in the interrupt pending register. So this register we actually discussed in our earlier lecture. After that, processor accepts the interrupt and changes the mode to handler mode to execute the ISR. When the processor is executing the ISR, it sets the corresponding bit in the interrupt active register to 1 to indicate that processor is busy in servicing the interrupt. And it also clears the pending bit inside the ISR. When the processor is done with the ISR, it exits. So during this, the interrupt active status bit will be cleared to indicate the processor is not servicing any interrupts. And the processor resumes to thread mode. Let's see how the processor behaves when there are more pending interrupts. Let me start with step number 7 because up to here it's same as the previous slide. Okay. At this stage, processor is busy in executing the ISR, isn't it? Now, again, the peripheral issues an interrupt may be a different peripheral, let's say. So immediately the pending bit corresponding to that IRQ number will be set in the interrupt pending register. The processor now completes the ISR of the first interrupt and returns to the thread mode, and also interrupt active status bit will get cleared. But since there is one more interrupt pending bit is active, the processor immediately re-enter the ISR to execute the ISR for the second interrupt. And again, the pending bit is cleared once it starts executing the ISR, and the interrupt active bit corresponding to the second interrupt goes high again. Great, so these are all the registerable activities during the interrupt processing. Okay, so you just saw that the first activity happens in the processor right after the interrupt assertion gets pended in the pending register, and the rest follows that.